Now that I've seen all three of these Monsterverse movies, the time has come to rank them worst to best. How would you rank the Monsterverse? Let's talk in the comments. Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my ranking of the three Monsterverse movies, worst to best. I'm excited to dive into this ranking, and I think what makes me most excited is, yeah, even though one of these is going to be my worst and one of these is going to be my best, I think as a whole, I like this Monsterverse so far, and I'm very much looking forward to Godzilla vs. Kong. Like, I think that's going to be a ton of fun. What do you think? Let's talk about that in the comments, and let's talk about this Monsterverse. Let's get your ranking of these movies, worst to best, below. Coming in for me at number 3, Godzilla 2014. This one is definitely the one falling in my worst position. Now, I recently rewatched this so I could do a review of it on my channel, and I gave it a B+. So what that says is I do hold this movie in high regard, and rewatching it on Blu-ray, I enjoyed it more than I remembered, and I think that's why I gave it a B+. As I was watching Godzilla King of the Monsters, like, it hit me that B+ was too high of a grade. I really think if I could revisit that and kind of re-edit that last part, I would give the original Godzilla movie a solid B. The thing is like, I'm not in a hurry to rewatch this Godzilla movie. And one of the big problems for me, and I said this in my review, is it's called Godzilla and it's 2.5 hours long or something like that, and Godzilla shows up for 10 to 11 minutes. I mean, his role in this is so small, it's just tragic. I mean, I think the idea was to build the suspense, but for me, that didn't build the suspense. It built the impatience. It's like, this movie is called Godzilla. There are these giant mutos walking around, and I could be watching Godzilla fight these things. Where is freaking Godzilla in his own movie? And the focus was on the people and the human drama, and I don't care. The people just weren't that interesting in this movie. The most interesting character in the entire movie was Bryan Cranston, and they killed him. I deserve answers! And so, like, I was really sad that he died right there in the beginning. It's not like the actors were bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, as a whole, the characters really weren't that interesting in the Godzilla movie, on top of the fact that Godzilla in his own movie had such a small part. And then his first fight, like, the first time he shows up, what an epic scene. I love that scene where he's showing up at that airport in Hawaii and his big old foot comes down and the camera slowly pans up and we get our first look at the monster. And then the fight begins, but we cut away. And so we see a little bit of this fight on the news. It's like, what is that? Then we get to the final battle, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, but they kept cutting away because we had to keep seeing where these darn people are at. Where did people do? I don't care. But finally, we did stick around with Godzilla, and it was an epic fight scene. And then he takes that Muto's head, breathes fire down his throat, and rips the head off, and like... Other than that scene being a little dark, that scene was incredibly epic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's fun. It's a good movie. I don't hate it. It's just not the best. Number 2, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. I definitely like this one better than the first Godzilla movie because they took the note. Godzilla was in so little of that movie, they put him in so much of this movie, and I really, really enjoyed it. In fact, Godzilla got a little bit of a personality, and one of my favorite parts is the final fight between Godzilla and Ghidorah. The final fight between Godzilla and Ghidorah. The final fight between Godzilla and Ghidorah, where, like, he reaches down, he bites the electricity, and he, like, gets his charge, and Godzilla does this, like, I don't know why I liked that, but there was elements of this that I feel like gave Godzilla a little bit of a personality, and a little bit more of a personality than what he had in the first one. I felt like we dug more into the fact that, for now, he's on the side of the humans, because the humans aren't posing that huge of a threat, I guess, and so he's on the side of mankind because it's still part of that balance. And now, here's Ghidorah, who turns out to be an alien and a false king. a false messiah. We have a monarch. We have like an enemy monarch, an anti-monarch. We have a true King Godzilla. We have an anti-king, and that epic, yeah. So there was some pretty cool symbolism there with Ghidorah being an alien and not part of the natural order, and therefore not the true king of the monsters. The pretender must be thrown off that throne, and Godzilla must ascend it and take his place as the rightful king. I love that they found the lost city of Atlantis. Like, that was, to me, that was awesome. As a whole, I thought Godzilla King of the Monsters was interesting. I thought it added to the mythology. I love seeing all of these monsters together. I love seeing Godzilla fight these monsters. So it just felt more action-packed. It felt more monster-based. Number 1, Kong Skull Island. Yes, this one comes in my number 1 position. This is number 1 for so many reasons. I loved the humor in this movie.
I call them skull crawlers. Why? Because it sounds neat. Never said that name out loud before. It sounds stupid now that I say it.
But really, I feel like this movie did what these other two have not done. To me, it had a fantastic balance between the human characters and the monsters. A great balance between what the people were doing and what the monsters are doing. I thought Kong was interesting. The skull crawlers were interesting. This island of other gigantic creatures was interesting. The monster fights were action-packed and really good, but the characters were interesting. Getting Nick Fury in this, and we really made a human villain that was almost worse than the flippin' skull crawler that Kong was going to have to fight and destroy. And he was a really interesting character to get into and to get to know. John C. Reilly, I loved his role in this movie. He was hysterical. He was I was going to say he's hysterical in the comedic relief, but that's just me saying the same thing. He was a great character, and he brought a great charisma and a great chemistry that added to this team of already pretty darn good human characters that are in here.
We're all gonna die together out here. You shouldn't have come here.
So this one, because of that balance that it struck, has to come in at my number 1. So how about for you? Where are you when you take a look at this Monsterverse? How would you rank it worst to best? I look forward to your ranking in the comments below and having that conversation with you. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next ranking video. I plan to rank all these X-Men movies after Dark Phoenix and throwing in some Patreon, rankings in there as well. It's going to be a fantastic video. So hit that bell so you're notified when that drops, when other movie reviews, theological analyses, trailer reactions, and anything else I do, you hit that bell, you're notified when it hits. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.